Back with us on the SportsMax Zone. It promises to be a year of significant change and improvement for football in Jamaica. Much of the responsibility for that progress falls on the shoulders of one man, Dennis Chung. Chung is General Secretary of the Jamaica Football Federation, having replaced Dalton Wint on November 1 last year. He joins us to talk about the year ahead. Welcome, Dennis.
Hi, George. How are you doing?
I'm fine. Just checking that there's no delay on the line. Are you hearing me real time?
I'm hearing you real time.
Excellent. Yeah. Good. All right. Insofar as the work plan, your work program for 2023 is concerned, Dennis, and those areas that you would have in concert with the leadership of the JFF highlighted as priority, what are those?
Well, we have a lot of activity that we're focusing on this year. We have the women preparing for the World Cup in the summer, going to Australia. They have a tournament. They actually have a camp this month. They have a tournament next month in Australia, and then some preparation matches in the windows for the international friendlies leading up to. We're trying to get them here for a match before they go up to the World Cup in Jamaica. And then we have the men's going to the Nations Cup and also the Gold Cup this year. And then the under-17 boys will be playing in Guatemala in the World Cup qualification in February. So it's actually a pretty busy period for the JFF, and we want to get the men's playing out here also before the end of the year. So it's a pretty busy period it's on the footballing front. In addition to that, there are some development things that are happening. So talent development is a big focus, and we're actually putting in an infrastructure for talent development throughout the country. So we're going to be looking wide and far throughout Jamaica to identify the persons who we think are worthy of being included in a special talent development program, not just at the high school level, but when you leave high school, for example, there's always a lull between high school and the bigger leagues, and also at the primary level. Women's football is a huge focus. You see, we have the Women's Premier League that's on now, and that's a huge focus for us. And we're going to continue to push on that, and also to improve the infrastructure generally. We have the Captain Horace Burrell Center that we're going to be putting a lot more into. In fact, there are 2 hires that we're trying to do by the end of this week for announcement next week that are 2 well-known corporate persons that we want to help to come on with the talent development and in the marketing area. So we're trying to conclude those. And we're going to be tying in sports with academics. So we're looking at establishing an academic board to assist the boys when they go out to camp at the center. And also the president has announced, which we're going to be doing for the first time this year, a scholarship for a boy and a girl who represents their high school and has successfully matriculated to a tertiary institution. So those are some of the things we're focusing on. Of course, there are some other things that are not as huge, but for the administration itself, we're going to be putting a lot into it and trying to beef it up and, make it a real professional organization.
All right. In terms of the Reggae Girls, they're preparing for a World Cup, of course. And you mentioned the Reggae Boys and some Nations League commitments. For the Reggae Girls, firstly, is there a full book of games to allow them to be best prepared for that World Cup down under?
Yeah, well, we have the camp that's happening next week in Florida. And then we have the 4-team tournament in Australia. That will be a big preparation because it's going to be some of the teams that are playing at the World Cup that are going to be there. We want to take advantage of the other windows for international friendlies And we're going to be rolling out the actual names that we're going to be playing. I mean, we're looking at some possibilities now. Nothing is confirmed yet, but we know we definitely want to use those windows. And then, of course, even before, when you go up to the World Cup, they're going to be there for about 2 weeks before, in training. We're going to have a camp up there prior to the start of the World Cup. So we're going to maximize on all that, George. Right now, what we have is the camp and also the tournament in Australia.
For the Reggae Boys, can you guarantee that for every FIFA window in this calendar year, that there will be a game involving the Reggae Boys, and that in addition to that, the tournaments that you speak of, well, the tournaments will take care of themselves because we'll play in those tournaments, and the number of games will depend on how well we do. But can you guarantee that for the FIFA games, the FIFA windows, the FIFA mandated windows, the Reggae Boys will be active, and that there will be at least a couple of games locally for the fans to build that rapport with the Reggae Boys?
What I can guarantee is that we're going to do our best to ensure that, all the windows are used. And that is certainly the intention based on the plans that we have in the budget and the strategic plans going forward. Of course, a lot of things can happen in between, but it is certainly our intention to do so. We are, as I said, trying to get at least one women's match here before they head off, and at least one men's match here, right? Of course, we want to have more than that because we want to ensure that the fans see the boys and the girls in their new kits, because we are with Adidas now, and I can tell you, I've seen the kits, the home and away, and they are something to behold. And we want the fans to enjoy that. So we are working as much as possible. We are already put in place in our plans that we're going to be hosting it, games here and also filling those windows. But nothing is confirmed yet. But definitely that's the plan for us.
Okay, Dennis, in keeping with the immediate months ahead of us, you referenced the CONCACAF Under-17 Championship coming up in February. We know that there has been criticism in the past about our preparation for youth tournaments. We know that Jamaica has qualified for 2 Under-17 FIFA World Cups, 1999 in New Zealand and 2011 in Mexico. But I have to admit that I haven't heard detailed plans about a preparation squad for this upcoming tournament, which is as early as February. What can you tell us about preparation for the CONCACAF U17s?
The preparation has been very active. In November, we had a camp in Florida for the Under-17s, and we actually have a camp going on right now at the center up at UAE, which started in early December and is continuing again tomorrow. And then after that, they are going to be heading up to Florida 12 days before the tournament in Guatemala. They're going to be up in Florida for 10 days, and then they're going to go to Guatemala. So a lot of preparation has been happening. It's just that it has not been out there. We have been putting a lot into it in terms of the camps and also giving them the playing time that they need.
Yeah, that's very good news, Dennis, because we have seen a few failed attempts at Under-17 and Under-20 qualifying in recent years. And the usual post-mortem from the coaches and management staff is that the preparation wasn't as good as they wanted it to be. I know that the word on the street is that you have been welcomed in this position as the new Gen Sec of the Jamaica Football Federation. Dennis, a man of your acumen, with also a strong sporting background as well. But the Hallgrimsson appointment as the new national head coach is also something that has a lot of football fans buzzing with anticipation and excitement. What level of discussion would have happened so far between the JFF and the new head coach regarding setting a platform here in 2023 to ensure that not only the Reggae girls do well in the upcoming World Cup, but the Reggae boys set themselves up for a strong go at the 2026 World Cup finals?
Yeah, a lot of discussion has been happening between our technical committee and the coach, the new coaching staff. So he's going to be here in the middle of January. In fact, I just signed off on his travel arrangements to get here. And he has been. He said that he has a good scope now of what is needed, and you know, he has a few players in mind that he's looking at. So as soon as he comes in January, he's already ready to hit the ground running. Remember that the whole coaching arrangement around Halgrinson is more than just him. John Wall, who is one of his assistants, is actually going to be here in charge of talent development. So we're not just looking at it from the point of view of the head coach and the Reggae Boys, the senior team, but certainly the development. So, you know, one of the persons that we're looking at to announce next week is actually going to come on and help us with the infrastructure in terms of the facilities and the arrangement around the development of youngsters, you know, looking at the under-20s. So we're looking at the under-20s as persons who we need to start working on now, you know, as we go up to 2026, you know, because obviously it might not be all the players that we have now. You know, we're talking about, you know, a few years down the line. So the development is a much more than Coach Halgrimson, but he already has his teeth in it. In fact, when I was in Qatar, he was actually there. We actually got some tickets for him to go and look at some of the CONCACAF teams that will be playing. So he, in Qatar, he actually was observing the teams that are there, you know, watching them play at the highest level. And I think he's well prepared. You know, we've made all the preparations for him. The discussions continue and has been happening at pace. And, you know, we are very confident about our prospects going into 2026 with the plans we have in place.
Yeah, some good sounding like some good news there, Dennis. The next question is the acquisition of Adidas as overall sponsors of the national football teams. How impactful is this development with regard to, well, pretty much everything that you've said so far, because you've spoken about, you know, infrastructure and developing teams, developing facilities, and also, you know, scouting talent?
Yeah, this one is huge. I mean, Jamaica and Adidas, I mean, you couldn't want two bigger brands being married together. And, you know, in terms of the sponsorship that we get in, the kits that are coming in, the cash sponsorship, you know, that's going to go a far way in helping the JFF in terms of, you know, helping us with infrastructure, the attention that we're going to be getting worldwide. You know, I've seen the kits and I can tell you, you know, there's something to behold, both the home and away kits. But even apart from Adidas, you know, which is a huge deal, you know, it's a 4-year deal. You know, we talk, you know, about the support from FIFA and CONCACAF. You know, they're coming on big time, you know, not just in Jamaica, but globally with helping the MAs across the world with infrastructure support. And, you know, we just submitted our funding request to them for some, you know, infrastructure support, which is going to support everything. So, you know, with FIFA, CONCACAF, Adidas coming on, the new coach, you know, I think that we're well poised to move ahead, you know, and we're looking at and working with PFGL, for example. Had a meeting with them today with the clubs, you know, as we look at how we can develop that infrastructure and support that infrastructure, because that's where a lot of the feeder players come from. So we're not just looking at it from the point of view of the senior teams, right? But the development below that. You know, how we're going to feed up into the senior teams. Yeah. You know, that's a major focus for us this year.
The time is escaping us, Dennis, and we have some ground to cover just the same. Let me ask you this. I haven't seen, I've been searching online, and I haven't seen an audited statements from the JFF since 2017. Can you say when the most recent one was published?
But, yeah, we actually, I'm surprised you never get it, John, because when I did the GenSec report for the Congress, we actually sent it out to the whole media. and international, everybody. So I'll send you a copy.
Yeah.
But it's the 2021
right.
audited that was done, which is the audit. The next one is not due until March. This is 2022.
Right.
It has in it also our new constitution that we passed. So I'll send you a copy of that.
And the overall health painted by those numbers of the JFF itself as a going concern?
In 2021, we made a small surplus. In 2022, we're going to make a little deficit because what happened is that we returned from COVID. You know, we had the expenses of international matches coming on and local matches, but we didn't get back to the crowd capacity because, you know, there was some restriction. But we think in 2023, based on the budget that we have done, which is going to be approved by the board, hopefully on the 21st of this month, we think that we'll come out with a small surplus based on what we have planned. But 2022 is going to be a deficit.
How much is due? How much is due
up until then?
How much is due to the JFF in terms of direct funding from FIFA this calendar year?
We look up. I think we're going to be looking at, with projects and everything, maybe over $2 million US. You know,
so that's about 300 million Jamaican, given the exchange rate.
Yeah.
So in order to, of course, you know, remind me how those funds work. Do you make a request? Is it an allocation given to Jamaica based on Jamaica's needs as determined by FIFA, or are those project funds that you would have submitted a work program for to say $10 for this, $50 for that, X for that, summing up to $2 million, and they disburse the $2 million? Is that how it works?
Yeah, there's some that supports operations that comes into us. There's also some funds that come in for like preparation, leading up to the Women's World Cup. There are some that comes in for talent development,
yes,
which is a focus. We also have funding coming in from CONCACAF also for supporting the parishes, you know, and some of the clubs. And also project funding. So it's a mix of everything coming together to give us that amount.
What is the reason though, Dennis, for I've never seen anywhere the value of the Adidas sponsorship? Is it that the sponsor has asked for the figure to be kept quiet, or is that just the JFF's decision to not publish that figure?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's our decision not to publish it because obviously the board has not seen the final thing yet, but also the launch is going to be February 6th. So, you know, this is why we haven't come out with the design of the kit and everything yet. On February 6th, you'll see all of that. So Adidas has asked that, you know, we sort of keep quiet on the agreement right now. You know, on February 6th, then
you'll publish that on February 6th. The value of the sponsorship arrangement.
I can't speak about the value yet, if we'll publish that yet, but certainly, you know, from my perspective, I don't see why, you know, we're going to hold on to that and not publish it at some point because it's going to come out in our financials anyway.
All right.
You know, because we have taken a decision to publicize that.
In terms of your, and I'm looking at the administrative side of things, because if that is weak, then all of your plans will fall like a house of cards. If based on the relationships that you have with corporate Jamaica, the one that you've been working to build since your association with the JFF in 2020, and those that would have remained strong, notwithstanding the disappointing results of especially the men, can you tell me that corporate Jamaica is receptive to the message that the Jamaica Football Federation will come with, and that you're confident that we'll have the strong corporate support that is essential to any mission by any of our national teams, regardless of gender?
Yeah, we have a lot of interest coming in. In fact, one of the persons that spoke about, you know, which is the high profile corporate person, which we're hoping to sign by the end of this week. You know, we're in talks for a corporate group in Jamaica to actually sponsor his compensation. You know, so we're hoping that he'll start next week. We're talking to other companies also who have expressed an interest, primarily in the women's program. So we're building that relationship back. You know, of course, you know, we have Water with Cinco, who has been consistently on board. You know,
but Dennis, you know very well, given your antecedents, that one of the things when corporate supporters will sponsor an activity, sponsor a sport or a sporting federation, because of course they want to be, as part of their corporate social responsibility, to say, well, we are giving to that area, we're giving to those people. But it tells a story when a corporate sponsors will cover the cost of projects, but will not give cash directly to the entity to spend, doesn't trust them with spending cash for various reasons. Can you declare today that the JFF is not one of those entities, that the JFF is an entity that corporate Jamaica isn't perturbed or isn't bothered about giving cash to execute the projects that it says will be executed with that cash?
Yeah, I don't think that there's an issue with that. I mean, as I said, George, we sent out the general sector's report with all the financial information. We're very transparent. And I mean, from my perspective, George, you know me, I have to protect my integrity. You know, that's very important to me. I mean, in 2015, I had the same situation when I went to NSWMA. You know how that was seen, you know, and, you know, we're winning corporate governance awards now. You know, that's the path I want to take this place at, you know, and we're putting some things in place. Sexual harassment policy, a whistleblowing policy, a code of ethics, you know, all of those things are going in place. And, you know, by the end of the first quarter, you'll have those in place. And we've already put a procurement policy in place, which has been signed off and sent to FIFA. And FIFA and CONCACAF are expressing a lot more support in us. You know, and they are going to people even overseas, and saying they're fine what's happening.
Hear you on that. That's all the time we have, though, Dennis. There's so much more to cover, but we'll talk another time. All the best to you, and we'll see what happens on February 6th when the big Adidas sponsorship is rolled out, the extent of it. And I certainly will be looking forward to some numbers, because that will help me to get some proper perspective as to what it is that the federation is positioned to do.
Yeah.
All right, Dennis Chung there, the JFF General Secretary, talking to us.
Yeah, February 6th is Bob Marley's birthday.
Yes, sir.
I wonder if the date was specifically
was
chosen. Yes.
One Love, yes.
Maybe so.
Yes, yes. Knowing the marketing, the marketing savvy that a company like Adidas has, I'm sure February 6th is not by accident.
I don't think so either.
Right, let's take a break and come right back with more. This is a SportsMax Zone. Thank you for watching SportsMax on YouTube. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and to click the notification bell to stay informed.